I think I would say that peace of mind means that we're able to help as many families in the state of Florida as possible. Our goal when we first started the firm was very different from our goal today because I didn't think that this was possible.
Mhm.
But with the growth, I see us helping families that maybe are not able to afford attorneys, right? At least 10% of our practice is pro bono work.
Welcome to the Verdict Signal podcast, where we feature how top attorneys help people make informed choices, avoid common mistakes, and move forward with confidence. Now, enjoy the show, and here's your host.
Daniel Gao here. I'm the host of Verdict Signal, and today we're expanding our conversations to the experts who protect what people build, their careers, families, and businesses. I have Samah Abukhodeir, a Palestinian-American attorney, entrepreneur, and the owner of the Florida Probate and Family Law Firm, which has expanded to 9 offices throughout the state of Florida. Under her leadership, the firm has been recognized on the Inc. 5000 list for 3 consecutive years as one of the fastest growing private companies in America. Sam has also been featured on the Discovery Channel and is the recipient of numerous professional and business awards recognizing her impact in the legal industry. Known for combining sharp legal expertise with visionary leadership, she has built a powerhouse brand dedicated to helping families navigate some of life's most complex legal matters. So, Sam, welcome and glad to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me, Daniel.
Yeah, so let's start from the very beginning, Sam. How did you first get interested in the legal field?
That's a funny question. Um, when I was an undergrad, I was actually pre-med.
Hmm.
My dad has an MD degree, and so I thought that I was always going to become a doctor. And then I realized, I think it was my junior or my senior year in college, that it was not the lifestyle that I wanted. I wanted a family. I wanted to be present. Um, I wanted things that I didn't think would align with becoming a doctor and the lives that doctors live.
Hmm.
And so I did not know what I wanted to do. I was a psychology major in college at FSU and just decided, let me take the GREs, let me take the LSATs and see where life takes me. And here we are.
Okay. And so when you were going through law school, like, did you know back then that you wanted to do estate law, or was it just kind of through the the journey you got to where you are now?
No, 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 no. It's the journey. My third year of law school, which is the last year of law school, my friend, who is now my husband because we met in law school, told me that I should venture into probate and get an externship with the administrative probate judge in Miami-Dade County. He had finished an externship with her the semester before, and this was my last semester of law school. So he's like, I really think that you're going to like this area of law. And he's like, just try. So I called the judge's chambers, and they were like, we already have all of our interns and our externs for credit. You're out of luck. And I kept following up just to see if somebody dropped. And they were like, no, honey, no one's dropped. You're not getting in. And I was at lunch with my mentor, who is a medical malpractice attorney here and a very well-known one. And I was telling him this story, and he goes, I have to step out to the bathroom. I'll be right back. And he stepped out, and when he came back, he goes, you start on Monday with the judge. And that's how I got into this.
Wow. Okay, that's quite the story. Now, Sam, what's one thing you wish more people understood about working with an attorney?
I wish they understood the process that we have to go through. So I think when clients call, well, at least when they call our office, they're going through some of the toughest times of their life, either death or divorce, or something related to family or probate law, right?
Mhm.
They've lost a loved one, they have a special needs family member or a family member with special needs, excuse me. They need estate planning because they might be sick. They are going through a divorce, they're going through a child custody matter. These are all not pleasant things in life, right? And so when they call, they're usually in a very vulnerable state. They're extremely emotional. They need therapy. That's one of the things that we always tell everyone before hiring us, please go through therapy, which is unlike most family law and probate attorneys.
Mhm.
So I wish they understood the process. I wish they understood the investment. I wish they understood the time frame. I think sometimes it's unrealistic, or they have ideas from TV or radio or their friends or chat GPT, or the internet
Mhm.
that gives them this unrealistic view of what happens with an attorney.
Okay. And I'm sure you get different types of situations people come in. I'm sure you get some where it's like a couple comes in and one of them's really gung ho about it, and the other person's like, my spouse dragged me here, so whatever. And I'm sure you also get other people where it's like they come in, maybe they're a little bit guarded because they think, oh, you're a lawyer and I don't want to say something wrong, that maybe I didn't do this quite the right way. I don't want you to get me in trouble, so I'm not going to tell you everything. When you really should, they really should be looking at you as their advocate and the representative, not as like, oh, I'm the upholder of the law to get you in trouble if you did something wrong. So do you kind of see those types of situations with clients that come in?
Yes and no. So we don't usually represent both parties, especially in family law matters. However, when we're doing estate planning, we do represent both parties sometimes.
Mhm.
If the husband and wife are setting up an estate plan because they have young kids, we do have to have those conversations. And one of the parties will be a little bit more reasonable or understanding. So to answer your question, yes, we see them with our estate planning clients usually.
Mhm. Okay. And on the family side, like what would you say is some of the most common situations people come to you for? Is it going to be divorce, child custody, things along those lines? Is the most common, or are there other situations that people come to you for when it comes to the family law side?
So on the family law side portion of the firm, we have a department in family and we have a department in probate. And the
Mhm.
probate is guardianship and estate planning as well. That falls under that umbrella.
Mhm.
On the family side, we usually see a lot of divorce,
Mhm.
and it's like gotten very prominent. That's our largest caseload right now.
Mhm.
We see paternity actions, we see child support actions, we see alimony actions, we see post-judgment. So they've already gone through the divorce, but yet somebody's not following the
Mhm.
instructions that the court gave them. We see a lot of prenups. We
Mhm.
see a lot of postnups, which is surprising to me because
Mhm.
to get somebody to sign a postnuptial agreement,
Mhm.
um, it's very hard, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Like, what somebody's going to lose something, but um the reason that people are coming for postnups is they're going through therapy. There's been an issue in their marriage. They want to stay married, they want to work it out, but they want to make sure that if God forbid they divorce in the future, that everything's already written down on how they'll
Mhm.
split everything.
Mhm. Okay. And when it comes to the prenuptials, as far as that, um, I'm curious, like when it comes to the views that a lot of your clients come to you for, is it something where at that point they're already kind of pretty open to the idea, or is it one has the idea and the other one's like, I don't know about this, and you kind of have to mediate between that?
So both parties are represented by counsel.
Mhm.
So we can't mediate. However, if one party decides, well, let me backtrack. The majority of the time, the people that are coming to us have already had the conversation with their fiance.
Mhm.
So the fiance already knows what to expect. And we're usually the ones that are drafting. So we're representing the party who wants the prenuptial agreement the majority of the time. We sometimes represent the party that needs the review of the prenuptial agreement to make sure that it's fair, that everything's getting split, the right way, that they're not getting cheated out of anything when they get married.
Mhm.
Um, but the majority of the time, the people already understand and they know what to expect. There's not really any surprises. It's the negotiating with the attorneys that is the pain sometimes because
Mhm.
the attorneys will convince the other side, you shouldn't agree to this, even though you already said you would verbally. This doesn't make sense, yada, yada.
Mm. Okay. Okay. And when it comes to within family law, like what are some of the most common misconceptions you hear from your clients, or things that's like they just didn't realize, or when you mention something, they're like, oh, I had no idea that that was a thing.
That if you cheat, you're going to lose everything.
Mm.
So I always get a client who will say, well, he or she cheated on me, so that means I'm going to get all the assets, right? Or I'm going to get 100% time sharing with the kids. And it's like, not in the state of Florida, bud. Like, that's
Mm.
not how this works.
Hmm.
I'm really sorry that your spouse cheated on you. It's an unfortunate situation, but that doesn't give you a leg up in the proceedings, in the legal proceedings. What it does allow you in the state of Florida is if they use marital assets on their paramour, right? Then at that point, we can bring that money back into the marital estate
Mm,
and then split it evenly.
mhm,
But if assets were not spent on this side person, then it's not going to make a huge difference. Yes, the judge will take it under advisement, but it's not going to change timesharing, for example.
mm,
And then the other big thing going to timesharing is I have a lot of moms that come to us and there's no budging on them not understanding that they're not going to get 100% timesharing.
mm,
In the state of Florida, the law changed years ago. I think it was in July of 2023, where it's an automatic assumption that it's going to be 50-50 timesharing between mom and dad. And you have to prove why that wouldn't be in the best interest of the child to have 50-50 in order to deviate from the 50-50 schedule.
mhm,
And we always get moms who are housewives or have always had the responsibility of the children, and they think that it's going to stay that way. And what we have to explain to them is, unfortunately, unless the other side agrees to a deviation, it's going to be very hard.
Interesting.
Or if there's abuse, if there's neglect, if there's like a circumstance that would cause us to fight for more than 50-50.
Okay. Now, when it comes to the estate planning side or the probate side, what are some common misconceptions on that side?
That's a good question. Let me think for a second. Oh, when we're doing an estate administration, which means that somebody has passed away, let's say a parent has passed away and they have 2 children, that the child that's coming to us is going to receive everything because they had a relationship with the parent and the other one was an estranged child. They automatically think because they were part of their life and they took care of their parent that they're going to get everything. And that's not how the law works, unless there's a last will and testament that says that, right? But usually the parents don't have estate planning documents. Another issue going into this is over 50% of the United States does not have estate planning. So at least half of our cases are coming in intestate, which means they lack estate planning, and we have to go according to Florida statute as to the distribution and the inheritance scheme. So a lot of people think that they're going to get everything. A lot of people think that if there are children from another marriage, that the new spouse is going to receive everything and the children from the previous marriage are going to get nothing. That's not how the law works. They believe that they can disinherit people, which is something we have to educate daily.
Okay. Now, what about the, I guess, perception that people say, well, I have a will, I don't need any estate planning?
So a will is part of the estate plan, but there are other documents that are super important. For example, a trust. A trust keeps you out of probate court, right? It saves your family thousands and thousands of dollars. So if you invest in a trust now, your family will not have to go through the process, hopefully, if everything's done correctly, of hiring somebody like us, having to file a court case, having to do everything through court order. That's what a trust is known for. So just having a will is not going to keep you out of court. There's also advance directives that are part of an estate plan. So in the state of Florida, a durable power of attorney, a healthcare surrogate, a living will, these are all super important documents that you draft during life to protect your family from having to deal with things afterwards.
Okay. And you mentioned some of these words. I also want to make sure people who don't understand it, can you explain what is probate and what is a trust and what does it do?
Excuse me, sure. So probate is the process that you go through once somebody passes away, and you have to go through the court process to be able to distribute their assets and make sure that it goes to the proper parties. That's the probate process.
So for probate, it's something that if you didn't do the planning properly, you end up in probate?
If you do the planning properly, you end up not having to go through the probate process.
Okay.
Which is the court proceedings, right? The estate administration. Also, if you do the estate planning properly, you don't have to go through the guardianship process, which the guardianship process, I'm going to give an example of our most prominent guardianship cases. Your parent is elderly. They start getting early onset dementia. They have Alzheimer's. They're in a coma. Something like this happens. If you have your advanced directives in place, meaning a durable power of attorney and a healthcare surrogate, you avoid having to go to court to have to make decisions on behalf of your parents because they've already drafted the documents that give you the power to make decisions if they're in this situation.
Got it.
And then a trust, your second question, is a legal document that allows you to dictate what is going to happen once you pass away. So you get to pick who your assets go to. You get to pick when they go to them. You get to pick ages, time frame, anything and everything, basically, so that the court doesn't have to do that for you. You're doing it ahead of time while you're healthy, while you're alive. And the biggest advantage to having a trust, I think, is the money and the time that you save your family members. So, best example, you have kids that are under the age of 18. God forbid something happens to you and your spouse. Instead of the court holding the money that you have, so if you had a house, if you had a car, if you had investment accounts, all of that would get transferred into an estate administration, which is a court case. It gets held in a guardianship case. So once the probate's done, they transfer it to the guardianship case for your kid until your child turns 18. And once they turn 18, they get a big fat check. But in the years that up until they turn 18, the attorney has to do accountings, has to do certain filings. So the money becomes depleted or gets depleted with everything that attorney is doing. So by the time they're 18, it's not the full amount. Now, take that scenario and do a trust. God forbid something happens to you, but you have a trust. It doesn't have to go through that process that I just told you about. The trustee that you designate holds that money. They get a fee, of course, but it's not going to be nearly as expensive as a court proceeding for years. And then you get to dictate at what age your child receives that money. I don't think we want an 18-year-old receiving a huge check because I know at 18 I would not have made the decisions that I'm making in my 30s now.
Yeah.
So you get to say, my child receives the first third, for example, at the age of 21 or 25. They receive the second third at 30. You get to say, there can be any distribution for health, education, maintenance, and support, meaning if they go to college, the trustee can write a check immediately. So there's more power in a trust.
Okay. And since you mentioned the trust is kind of like the directions that you are giving, how is it different from a will? Is the will kind of just like these are the written instructions and the trust is more of like the vehicle of how that is being followed out?
Correct. So a will still allows you to say who gets what. However, the will still has to go through the estate administration process depending on the assets. Okay. If you do a pour over will, which means that everything once you pass goes from the will to the trust, you bypass the estate administration process. So it's the vehicle that allows you to not have to go to court.
Got it. Okay. Now, within your firm, you kind of have this unique blend of doing the family law and also doing the estate planning law. So I'm sure that you have some situations where someone's come to you for estate planning and then later on they get a divorce or there's some issue there. So how does that affect kind of each other, like the estate planning and then now divorce? Then I guess you have to make a lot of change on the estate planning side.
Sure. So, and that's a great question. And that's the reason that I chose these two areas of law, because I knew that they would intersect and we would have repeat clients. So from a business perspective, I think it was genius on my part, but I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say everyone needs a probate attorney, right? Everyone needs an estate plan. And they need it when they're healthy, but most people come to us when they're unhealthy, when something bad is going to happen, or they think something bad's going to happen. Now, if we have a divorced client and they get divorced, whatever estate planning they had before they got divorced is, I don't want to say negated, but their spouse then predeceases them if they get divorced. So it severs whatever agreement was in the estate plan. So let's say husband and wife are married. They do their estate plan 5 years before they get divorced, and everything goes to from wife to husband. Once that divorce decree is in place, husband predeceased wife, so that distribution fails, which means that they have to come back to the estate attorney and then designate and update what's going on. What we usually tell clients, regardless of divorce, every 2 to 3 years, a major life event happens. So you have a child, there's a death, there's a change in your financial status, you change jobs. Every 2 to 3 years, there's something bound to happen. You need to revisit your estate plan every 2 to 3 years.
What about moving to another state? Is that going to change things?
That's a great question too. So it can change things because every state has different laws, right? However, if you have an estate plan that was done in Florida and then you end up moving to New York or California, that estate plan is still valid, but you should talk to an attorney in the state that you're living in now to make sure to understand how this is going to deviate anything, but it's still valid.
Got it. Okay. Now, what are some of the biggest mistakes you see people make before they call a lawyer, either with the family side or with the estate planning side?
Self-help. They go to ChatGPT or they go to what is it called? There's this website that pops out legal documents,
Rocket Lawyer or LegalZoom?
Something, yeah, like Rocket Lawyer, LegalZoom. And they've already drafted and filed things with the court, and it's all incorrect. So they end up having to spend, they've already spent the money on these documents online, which is anywhere between $9.99 or $99 to $499, and then they have to pay an attorney to fix everything, which is going to cost them more. And what we try to, explain to them is everything you've done did not benefit you, and now the judge is going to expect us to correct everything that was done prior. And if you by chance left anything out in those documents, you might be questioned. So in a probate proceeding, in an estate administration specifically, if you left out your siblings, the judge is going to ask, why in this document did you not have these beneficiaries? But now when you hired the attorney, you now there's 4 beneficiaries instead of 1. What were you thinking? Where's the honesty and the integrity and the ethics?
Got it. Okay. So Sam, let's say that someone is looking for help on any of these issues, the estate planning side, the family side, and they know they need to talk to an attorney, but they don't know which one to choose. What advice would you give to this person so that when they do their search, they can find an attorney who has experience, has the knowledge, and can help them get the end result they're looking for?
I love that question, Daniel. Not every attorney is the right fit for every client. And that's why I encourage people to speak to more than one attorney when they're doing consultations. We offer free consultations for about 15 to 20 minutes. Not all attorneys offer free consultations. However, I still think it's important to get a different perspective in that consultation. Just like not every attorney and client matches, you have to feel comfortable as a client, because even myself as an attorney, I have attorneys that I hire. I have attorneys that I've consulted with, and I know that they're not the right fit for me. So you have to have a list of questions that you come in with. You have to feel comfortable and confident that that attorney is going to fight for you, essentially. A lot of attorneys, and I hate to say this because it makes us, we already have a bad rep, but a lot of attorneys are in it for the money. And the way that our firm is different is we tell you during that consultation or that first strategy session whether we believe we have a strong chance of winning your case or not. Or I shouldn't even say winning, because in a divorce, I don't think anyone wins. In a death, I don't think anyone wins. But what will end up happening most likely is what we want to give you a realistic perspective of what the future holds, right? A lot of attorneys won't do that during the consultation because they feel like you'll get the information and try to do it yourself. But I'd rather you listen to what we say and be satisfied and know what's in it, right? Whether it's bad or good, at least we're giving you that information. Another point when picking an attorney, if there's a certain language that you speak, go with an attorney who also speaks that language, because you're going to feel comfortable communicating more effectively in the language, in your first language, right? We have attorneys at my firm that speak Spanish, Arabic, Urdu, Hindi, Portuguese, French, and I'm missing some. But the whole point of that is we're multicultural, we're multi-religious. If there are religious aspects, don't go with somebody who doesn't understand your religion, because that's going to be a sticking point where it might be hard for you to explain that to somebody, or you feel like you have to hold back that information because you're embarrassed, right? So I think when you're interviewing, you ask all these questions to see how comfortable you are with that person.
Okay. And what about this balance between liking them and connecting with them and ability? Because I mean, in a perfect situation, you want both. You want to have someone you really connect with, you really like, and also they have that ability. But if someone kind of had to put a priority on one or the other, like I really, really connect with this person and they have good experience and I think that they can do a job, versus the I don't quite connect with this person, but they've been doing this for so long. I mean, I feel like they're gonna nail this. I'm not gonna have any worry about that. How
You
do you
don't go, sorry to interrupt. I love that. I'm like super passionate about this. You don't go with someone because they've been practicing 40 years and you don't connect with them. Years of experience does not mean that they're going to do a good job. You look at somebody's Google reviews, you look at somebody's reputation in the community, you ask people, you read things online, you ask your friends, you do your research, right? Do you go with somebody who's been practicing less than a year? I wouldn't. I'm going to be honest. However, if that person who's been practicing also is doing the case with somebody who's been practicing longer, yeah, absolutely. Because if you're on a budget and that person is doing the bulk of the work, but they also have a mentor working on it, that makes sense, right? But don't go solely on years of experience, right? We have people who went to law school as a second career, so they might not have been practicing 40 years, but they're older in age, right? But their life experience from their first job helps with being an attorney and helps in the area that we practice in. So I think it's a holistic approach that you have to research and make sure that it honestly is the right fit.
Okay, very well said. Now, when it comes to your practice, you have 9 locations. You've been on the Inc. 5000 list for 3 years running. What do you think contributed to you having such success with your practice?
So I I grew up as a Section 8 housing and food stamp baby, so I didn't grow up with much. And my husband grew up the opposite. He grew up well off. And so I think the balance of both of us running the firm, and I'll explain that in a second because we work together. I think that that really helps our success. I think our mindsets, our varying mindsets really help. I never thought I would have a law firm. I never thought I would have a business. I've never taken a business class in my life. And when I was offered partnership at the last firm that I was at, my husband came up to me. He had his own firm at the time and still does. And he told me, he goes, "This is not the right deal for you, and you know in your heart it isn't. Bet on yourself. Do it yourself. Look what I'm doing. You can do it better than I can." And so he was I mean, I hate even admitting it, but he was the inspiration of me starting this firm. And had he not pushed me, I don't think that this would have been possible. I couldn't imagine, growing a firm this size with this many offices. I couldn't imagine having a team this large. I I I never thought that this was possible, because when you grow up with very little, you don't see the potential in the future, right? I know I'm a hard worker. I know I'm a straight A student. I know I was always on honor roll and dean's list, and I know that I'm capable of succeeding. but I didn't see myself succeeding in this manner. And so I have to unfortunately give my husband credit. And as a result, we got married about 4 years ago, and then we had our son. He's 3 now, and we have a daughter who's 22 months old, and I'm currently 6 months pregnant with another boy. That's why I'm out of breath, so forgive me.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks. But when we had our son 3 years ago, that's when we decided to join forces. So I think also him transitioning over to my firm and now it being our firm has also created what we have today.
Wow. Well, I think the success of your firm is a testament to everything
you.
you've done, the quality of the work that you provide to your clients as well.
Thank you.
Now, Sam, where do you think the future is going when it comes to law? You mentioned like on the family side, the 50-50 split, that was a change recently. Are there any other changes that people kind of keep an eye out for?
So, and not only did child timesharing change, but alimony change. So no more permanent alimony in the state of Florida. And depending on who's in power politically is where, the laws are going to shift, right? So I don't know what else is going to change, but I know that there are changes in store. I hope that we will get more people on the bench and people that are capable and smart and efficient, because the amount of time that clients are having to wait for hearings is absurd. And I'm probably going to get crap for saying that, but it's the truth. I don't think it's fair for parents to have to wait 6 months on a hearing to be able to see their kids. I just don't think that that's healthy. I do think that there needs to be change, and it's not just with the alimony and the timesharing. I think that there's other areas that we could definitely benefit from.
Okay. So, Sam, I do have one last question for you, but before I ask it, I do want to point people to your website at floridaprobateandfamilylaw.com.
Thank you.
Yep. Now, last question for you, Sam. What does peace of mind mean to you?
That's a great question. I've never been asked that. I think I would say that peace of mind means that we're able to help as many families in the state of Florida as possible. Our goal when we first started the firm was very different from our goal today, because I didn't think that this was possible. But with the growth, I see us helping families that maybe are not able to afford attorneys, right? At least 10% of our practice is pro bono work. I mentioned how I didn't grow up with very much. Part of my mission at this firm is to help people like me and the way that I grew up, right? So I think that peace of mind is being able to provide services to people who don't think that they deserve it, don't think that they can afford it, and also people that come from different backgrounds, culturally and religiously, so that they're heard and that they, go through the process fairly.
Okay, very well said. Well,
Thank
there you
you.
have it, Sam sharing your expertise. So, Sam, where can people contact you and your practice?
Sure. Thank you for asking. So you can contact us at our website, like you mentioned before, www.floridaprobateandfamilylaw.com. You can also contact me on social media. My handle is Lawyer Lady Boss. You'll see my husband and I's videos every week. You can also contact us via phone at 305-677-5119. And lastly, you can contact us via email, info@flpfl.com.
Awesome. Well, Sam, this is amazing. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing your expertise, and thanks for sharing your knowledge.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to the Verdict Signal podcast. Any questions? Please contact the practice directly with the contact information provided during the show. We'll see you again next time. Bye for now.